So right here, I'm going to give you my entire AI omni-channel outreach system that's getting me about 15 clients a month. But probably what you've been thinking before you clicked on this video is are people just not interested in my offer? Why are people not interested in what I do? Why is my market so saturated? And why are people just keep telling me no, right? So this is the reason why. Most people think that the reason why people aren't interested in what they're doing, and I'm going to show you what this actually looks like in a sec, why this Mr. Prospect here is saying that he's not interested, right? But the issue that people have is they think everything is about their messaging, right? Everything is about the secret copy that they're using. Everything's about their like unique offer. It's this next thing that they just don't know what it is, right? But the thing that all these large companies are doing that you're not doing is not what you're probably thinking, right? If you look at these like massive marketing agencies like Neil Patel, for example, if you look at some of these super big like consulting businesses like Charlie Morgan, Cole Gordon, like all these people, they don't have this like crazy unique offer, unique mechanism, right? Like placing sales reps. He's not the only one who does that, right? Like getting more clients, not the only one who does that, right? Obviously. Now, the reason why these people get significantly more of the market and make millions and millions and millions of dollars a month is because I've mastered this one thing, and this one thing is impressions. Okay. Now, basically, when what people do wrong is they send out one email, they send out one kind of outreach, and what tends to happen is they think that because that person said they're not interested, it means they don't like your offer. But 99% of the time, again, these people, they don't have such unique offers. The reason why these people aren't interested in your offer is because they're uninterested in you, right? They have no idea who you are, and when you just send them an outreach like a single thing, the likelihood that they reply is very, very low. But what people think is that because that person said interested, it means they're not interested, and they think that if they send them another message later down the line or on a different channel, they're going to get the same response, right? But the thing is that your likelihood of getting a response actually increases if they've already said they're not interested. And the reason why is because they've already seen you before. So I'm going to walk through this in more detail, but I'm going to give you an example here, right? So if you send an email, for example, to Mr. Prospect over here, and then you obviously have your name at the end, whatever, you have your offer, right? He says he's not interested, right? He probably just like skimmed it. He's like, I don't care, right? Now, let's say a day later, you call him and you say, here's my offer. I want Josh Dueck's team, blah, 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 right? They say they're like, I think I saw that an email from him earlier. I'm not really interested in that, right? Again, this is all just an example. You wouldn't use that script, right? And then let's say the next day you send a LinkedIn message, right? Now this guy's seen you 3 times. He's like, what the heck does this guy do? Like, I've seen this offer 3 times, and now he actually gives you the time of day to think about what you're actually saying. And when he thinks about that, he becomes a little bit more curious as to what you're actually doing. And he's like, oh, whatever, I'll just book a call, right? Let's see where this thing goes. And that will continue to increase the more impressions they have of you, right? This is why the biggest companies in the world they take up 90% of the market share because everybody knows who they are. It's not because they're doing something crazy a lot of the times. It's just because they have a massive, massive brand, right? Like Nike, they're not the only one who like makes shoes, right? But they get billions and billions of dollars selling shoes, I think, probably, right? I don't know the exact numbers, right? Because everyone knows about them, right? Everyone has seen them. Everyone has related them to like winning or whatever, right? They have a brand, right? So this is basically the marketing rule of seven. I kind of just searched this up, but it makes sense compared like with what I'm talking about. This is an actual thing, right? It takes about 7 interactions with your brand, with seeing something that you're saying before someone actually decides to buy something from you or even like make a decision to even learn more about what you're doing, right? So if you think of the last time you bought something, it probably wasn't you seen one impression of someone and then you just decided to buy from them, right? You probably saw like a bunch of like marketing material from them before you decided to actually buy. Like if you look at these people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on ads, the reason why they don't cap out their market because the amount of impressions that they're getting is significantly more than their total addressable market. The reason why these companies don't just like get an impression on everyone and then they just slowly start to fall down is because they continue to build up the amount of people who are in their warm audience, right? They continue to build up the amount of people who know about them, right? So a lot of the people, right, for example, if we're talking about like Cole Gordon, They will see this like stupid ad of Cole Gordon saying, want to find high ticket sales reps like 20 times. And on the 20th time, they'll be like, oh, well, what the heck does this guy do? And they'll click the ad, right? This is what happens because when you become more familiar with something, you kind of like, you're like, it surfaces in your level of awareness all the time. It's taking up your headspace, and you're like, hey, I have to find out what this thing actually is, right? And eventually you're just going to click on the ad, right? Same thing with outreach, right? If you get emailed by this dude, you're going to forget who he is the next day, right? If you get another email, you're like, okay, I still don't care, right? Then if someone calls you saying like they're affiliated with that email, they're like, okay, piss off, you've been messaging me too many times, right? Then you get a LinkedIn message, right? Then you get an Instagram message. It's like, okay, fine, I'll give in. I'll learn more about what this guy does, right? So the like basically summing this up, your outreach and your advertising and your marketing is less about what you're saying and more about the context that's it's being perceived in. And I'll give you an example. So if you see this like weird looking thing, obviously this is an Elon Musk creation, right? Now, if you just like saw like this is basically an electric plane or whatever. I don't know if this is the exact image of it, right? But Elon Musk is making an electric plane. Now, if someone were to tell you that like they're making an electric plane, right, you probably would be like, yeah, right, like I don't care, this is ridiculous, and you probably wouldn't think much of it. Now, if you heard that Elon Musk was making an electric plane, you probably believe it. Now, this is probably like the most unrealistic thing that you could probably think up of, right? But if you look at like this is all unrealistic stuff that's been done before. So this guy, right, we all know, we've seen multiple, not just impressions of him, but impressions of him doing crazy shit, right? So if this dude says he's going to build this, like he's probably like is probably not lying, right? So this is kind of the thing, is it's more like what you're saying is more about the context in which it's being said than like the words you're using, right? Now, this is how to actually build the omni-channel system, right? So first step is you need to pick a primary platform. The goal of this is to get interest so that we can build up essentially a list of like interested people that like could be interested in your offer, so that we can follow up with them on multiple different places, that's not even a word, right? Build that list of impressions and then basically continue to outreach until they basically book a call or tell you to piss off, right? Now, like I said here, the idea that you want to use to actually pick one of these different platforms is you want to think about, number one, where is my niche congregating online, right? Where are most of the people in my niche going to be able to see my message? And that's where we can generate the most amount of interest, and then we can basically follow up with them on different platforms. Now, there's a couple caveats to this. When you're picking your primary platform, it's not just about where they're the most active, but it also has to do with, does the platform kind of allow for your message to be seen easily? So, for example, your audience might be very frequently on Twitter. The thing is with Twitter is, even if they are frequently on Twitter, Twitter is very hard to actually cut through the noise. Number one, because there's very little limits, because everyone can just message everyone like 500 times a day, and you're competing with a very, very high amount of people. And not only that, but you're going to get automatically put in the request section. So unless they are following you first, it's going to be very, very difficult to get their attention. The same thing goes for Instagram. In fact, Instagram is even harder because they have a spam filter, right? So even though your audience might be on these two platforms, it's going to be very difficult to reach them, right? School will be very easy to see them, right? If they're on School, like they will always see your message. The thing is here, it's very hard to do volume here. So after testing with, like, I've booked meetings, signed clients on like literally all of these platforms, right? Now, what I found to work the best typically for the initial primary platform is going to be LinkedIn, email, text, and you can use Facebook, and you can use calling too. I would avoid these three. I typically tend toward these three are probably the best ones, and then you can also use Facebook and calling if you need to, right? But I would try and hone in on these three. These are going to be super scalable, and it's very easy to get people to see your thing. Obviously, with email, if you can deliver properly, text is technically illegal. You can use iMessage. LinkedIn also works really well if your audience is there, right? So these are the primary platforms. What you want to do is we send an initial message here to get interest, and then we can obviously put them into our whole sequence, which I'm going to walk you through mine in a second here, right? Now, what we actually need to send them, I'm going to give you the script, right? So when it comes to interest generation, right, when we're sending them a message, there's three things that are going to come into factor when we're trying to get people to be interested, right? Number one is offer. Number 2 is copy, and number 3 is the targeting that we're using. Okay, so let's start with offer. Basically, when it comes to building out an offer, there's something that I call the 3 anchors that you essentially need to have in order to properly scale your business, right? So, and this is also to properly build an offer, right, that is actually going to be resonating with someone. And you need to do these, you need to establish these in this order, or it's going to be not working, right? Number 1 is the niche or the market, right? So you have to have a specific person that you're serving, because if you have a general audience, what you're going to do is you are going to have a general solution to a general problem. And typically when you do that, it's not going to apply to very many people, and the percentage of people that will be interested will be significantly lower, right? And like I was saying before, it's not about the size of the market, because we can just hit the same person multiple times, and will be more than enough to make millions a month, right? So we need one market, be specific, right? Next thing is we want to find the biggest problem in that market, right? So what's the actual biggest issue that these people have, right? So for me, I work with agencies and consultants, and their typical biggest issue is getting clients, right? And then my solution, right? Then you just basically, the idea here is you need to have a solution to your problem, and you need to position it in a unique way, right? So you don't necessarily have to do something unique, right? Like if you, for example, realtors, their biggest problem is actually like selling homes, right? And the solution to that is typically either like sales training or Facebook ads, right? Or combination of both of them, right? Now, those things aren't unique, but what you need to do is you need to have like some sort of a mechanism that is unique. So for example, if you have like a back end that does like AI lead nurturing off this end of the Facebook ads, right? Then you can basically just say like, we have this like AI like house acquisition strategy, right? Or something like that. Now, it's literally just Facebook ads, but you want to position it as unique, right? Now, on top of these 3 things, this is kind of what you build your offer on, right? But you need to basically use in your copy, like talk about the tangible outcome of working with you. Like, what is the actual thing that they will receive? So for me, we help clients get 120 appointments in 120 days, and optionally you can add a risk reversal. So for people who work with me, like if they don't get 120 appointments in 120 days, then we give them a full refund, right? So having a risk reversal is optional, but I would highly recommend having it. It's not going to cause you any harm unless you just suck at what you do, right? In which case you should probably figure that out first, right? Now, this is the offer side of things. The next thing we need to know is the copy. Now, there is 5 principles to writing good outreach copy, right? Number 1 is less is more. The more shit you add in your outreach script, the less likely people are to read it, because they're not going to read a whole book from you, right? If you take it to the hypothetical max, but they'll read 1 word, right? So the less stuff you can have, the more impactful each thing that you're going to say is going to be. So you want to try and fit these 4 in without having a bunch of random words, right? So try and narrow this down as much as you can. The next thing, and I'm going to give you an example of a script that we use, right? The next thing is commitment escalation, right? So you don't want to be asking, like, this is why people have sales calls. And then before that, they have like a nurturing sequence. Before that, they have an outreach message, right? The reason why there's an order to this and you don't send a Stripe link to someone to just say, buy from me right on the first message, is because you have to get a smaller level of commitment from them first before you can ask for more, right? Number 1, because they don't trust you. And number 2, because there's a million other people asking for the same thing, right? So what we want to do here is we want to ask for the smallest first step possible and the easiest first step possible, so that we can get the most amount of people interested, so that we can, again, capitalize on these people later on with the omni-channel follow-up system here, right? And again, those platforms are kind of just an example of what we do, but there's different ways you can do it, right? Next thing is perceived effort. So most people are just going to send like some copy and paste crap. And like when people see that, they tend to care less. Like it's still going to work, but they'll tend to care less as if you actually personalized it, right? So for us, what we do is one of our main primary platforms is LinkedIn. So what we actually do, oh, holy crap. What we do there is we typically just send voice notes. And obviously that shows that it's personalized. Now we actually have AI make the voice notes, which is something that we help our clients with as well, because it makes the whole process a lot more automated and systemized, while also keeping the perceived, that's the important word, perceived effort here is high, right? Now, number 4 is obviously the gap. They actually have to want something. They have to be want their situation to be different than it is right now. And that's going to come down to the problem of the niche and the solution of the niche, right? This is kind of like what this is talking about. If you're talking about something that the niche fundamentally doesn't care about, then no one's going to be interested, right? And then number 5 is being unique. So if you can have all these things, but if they've seen the exact same thing that you're sending, like if you just watch some YouTube video and copy a script, and everyone's using it, then it's obviously not going to work, right? So you have to use your brain and come up with something a little bit unique, right? But again, keep all these things in mind. So kind of what we do in the example I was talking about is one of our clients, he has about a 37% positive reply rate on completely cold leads. And there's a couple of reasons why. But number one, the main reason is because of these scripts, right? Now, what he's doing, right, is it's basically like, hey, John, notice you owned XYZ niche type of business, right? So, for example, if it was me, I would say, hey, notice you own an agency. I was wondering if I could send over some strategies that I use to desired outcome, right? So, this is like the desire here, right? So, for example, if you're like, he works with speaking businesses, right? So, hey, notice you own a speaking business. I was wondering if I could send you over some strategies that I used to get 5 speaking engagements last month. No worries if not, but figure there's no harm in asking, right? Pretty short, less is more. We're just asking to send some strategies, low commitment, high outcome, right? High perceived effort because we said his name in a voice note, right? Number 4, obviously, more speaking engagements. This is what these people want. And this is kind of unique. Like, no one really does that, right? Now, don't go copy this because then you're ruining principle number 5, right? I mean, you can if you want, it's just not going to work, right? Now, next thing is targeting. And what we want to do here is we want to look for buying intent signals. Okay. Now, this is something that is going to be dependent on your niche. It's going to be dependent on your offer, in terms of like what signals you should actually be looking for. So obviously this is something that more we help with our clients, like kind of one-on-one. If you are interested in learning how we do that, you can click the description down below and it'll kind of explain how we can help with that, right? But basically the idea here is what most people do is this is the market, for example, right? And this is kind of like all these dots are like people in your niche, and these green dots are people who are like wanting to like fix the problem, wanting to buy your thing. Not specifically you, but they're interested in the thing that you do, right? So what most people do is they'll just like grab this list of people and they'll just send like a blast message to them. What we do, which basically is a lot more efficient, is we can actually just like pull out these people, and specifically target these kind of people, right? Which is when we do that, like this is why he has like a 37% positive reply rate, right? This is again one of how our clients Sabir, he went from booking 10 meetings a month for like a year all the way to booking 60 meetings a month in 52 days, right? So pretty cool stuff. Like when you actually have this nailed down, like it honestly becomes pretty simple, right? Now, next thing is the hot list. So what this is basically, you know, like when you're 10 p.m. at night and you have like your list of like hot women that you want to call out. I'm just messing around. This is a terrible joke, right? The hot list is basically a list of like hot leads, of not like hot leads, but like, you know, this is again horrible joke, right? But people who have shown interest to what you do, right? You're basically, what you want to do here is you want to put their names in a spreadsheet, and you want to put like basically their contact information here with their email, their phone number, all their social profiles. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But you want to basically have the list of all the people who are interested, right? Once we have that list of people that you have in your hot list, right? Then we can actually like put them into our follow-up sequence, and we can just get like most of them to book a call, and then you can get them to buy from there, right? So the idea here is that you want to find contact info on for at least 2 to 3 platforms. Like this will be your secondary platforms, right? And if they don't reply in 24 hours to your conversion message, which is, I'm going to show you, this is what this is in a second, right? If they don't reply to your conversion message within 24 hours, then we're going to start sending our omni-channel follow-up sequence, right? So how do you find these contact information for these different platforms? The next thing you want to do basically is you want to look at, okay, out of these platforms here, right? Where is my niche going to actually pick up? Where is my niche going to see my thing, right? Other than the primary platform, right? So for us, LinkedIn is our main primary platform. We have like a couple different other primary platforms that we use, like we use email and Instagram and things like that. But it's mostly LinkedIn, right? Then what we have in place is we have 3 or 4 different like secondary platforms, right? So we use email, SMS, phone, and we also use WhatsApp as well a little bit, and kind of YouTube, which I'll explain how all that interweaves with each other. But let's just say, for the sake of the example, email and text and phone number, right? So basically, the contact information we need is we need their number, and we use that for this and this, and then we need their email, which we use for this, right? And we already have their LinkedIn, obviously, because that's the primary platform. So what we can do here, let's say we want to find a social media platform. Let's say we want to find, for example, their Instagram account to do a follow-up on, right? What we would do is we would put their name and their business inside of Google search. And you can also add a specific platform if you want. So for example, if you searched up Josh Dueck JKD Agency, you'd find my LinkedIn, my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, you literally, and my YouTube. Like you find all of my stuff, right? And that way you can just go in here and follow up with me like madman, right? Now, like probably don't do that, but this is where my stuff is, right? Now, The next thing, right, is if you want to find their email or their phone number, there's a couple different softwares that you can use, which I'm not going to go through all of them because this will work just well enough. Is you can go to apollo.io, and obviously you're not going to find my email and phone number because I removed it from there. But what you can do is you can go and search the name of the person who you want to actually find, and then you'll be able to find them inside of Apollo, and then you can request a phone number. You can get their email. I'm fine with sharing this because this is actually not, it doesn't have my real phone number. So yeah, you can typically, most of the information is going to be accurate in there, and you can find most of their phone numbers, most of their emails, and then basically reach out to them from there. And that's how you can essentially get a lot of contact information to be able to send them to different omni-channel follow-up sequences. Right now, the next thing, from once we have the hot list and they're in there, right, we basically are going to send them our conversion loom or our conversion message. Right now, you can do this through Loom. I do it through Loom, or you can also just call them. So, for example, a sequence that works really well is, let's say SMS is your primary platform. If they respond, then what you do is you just call them, and then you give them the pitch on the call, and then you book them in. That is like a really good sequence for that. You can also just send like a voice note, like, and make it personalized. You can just send a piece of text. Typically that works worse because, again, you're missing that perceived effort here, but it does work, right? And then you can get them to book a call from there. But we use looms, and we also do personalized AI looms, right? So I actually have an AI version of me that basically records these personalized for every single person. Again, this is like super specific in terms of how to actually set this up. It's something that we help our clients with, which, again, you can click the description if you want to learn more about that, right? Now, we send them this loom. What's in this loom is basically there's the personalized AI intro, which is like, hey, right, in this case, hey, Evan, right? Then we talk about the actual offer or the outcome that they're going to have of working with us. So I'm super confident we can help you do X, Y, Z. The risk reversal is like what happens if you fail. So we give you all your money back if you fail. Then you go over some case studies to show that you actually know what you're doing. High level overview on the strategy that you actually use. And again, you want this to be high level. If you're talking about, like, again, if you run Facebook ads and you say you run Facebook ads, no one's going to book a call because they don't care, right? So you want to be vague about it, and then you can pitch them on the idea of it on the call, right? And then you do the call to action to book a call. So cool. If you want to learn how we can actually apply the strategy to your business, you can book a call, right? And this has made me like $250,000, which is pretty cool. And this is obviously, you can see like most of this stuff is in like the last 5-6 months. Reason why is because we just figured out how to do this stuff, right? But yeah, that's basically that. Now, the next thing you want to do is, once you have all of this information, you got your hot list of interested people, what you're going to do is you're going to follow up with these people 5 times per platform on at least 2 to 3 platforms, right? So this seems like a lot, but again, this is why we get a lot of good results, right? So first thing is LinkedIn, right? So this is for us. We just send a bump on LinkedIn, right? So we send them that conversion email. If they don't reply within 24 hours, we just send them a bump here. The next day, if they don't reply to this bump, then what we do is, obviously I have like setters that call these people. If you want to learn how to be actually hire, train, build, setting teams and all that stuff, again, I'm going to keep promoting the description because, again, we're talking about more impressions is going to make you curious about it, right? Anyways, so my setter will call these people, right? And then if they pick up, then he will try and basically, hey, what did you think about the loom we sent? Oh, I didn't see it. Cool. Here's what's in it. Want to book a call? Sure. Yes or no. Right. If they just don't pick up, then what we'll do is we'll text them, we will email them, and we will WhatsApp them. So if they don't have WhatsApp, we'll text them. If they don't have text, we'll WhatsApp them. This text actually tends to be an iMessage is what we do. Obviously, we want to be legal, and it actually performs better anyways. And then what we actually do is, sometimes in one of these messages, I don't know which one it is. I think it's in the email, or like the second email here. What we'll do is we'll actually, like, if we can see that they're seeing the stuff, they're just ignoring us, we actually send them to YouTube, or we'll send them to our website, and they can see our case studies, right? And that'll kind of warm them up. So if they're like on the edge, they're just like, I don't want to bother, right? This is, again, giving them that opportunity to go somewhere else for that escalation of commitment to build up, so that they have, like, basically they meet their action threshold to want to book and want to buy from you, right? After that, basically what we do from there is we call them again if they don't respond, and then we text them again, email again, WhatsApp again, send them to YouTube, message them again on LinkedIn, and do this whole thing over and over and over again. And as you can see, like, these people are seeing our crap like 20 times. So all of this, by the way, happens within a week. So what people do to, like, basically build up this like group of people over like years and years and years, we can basically, like, intentionally, like, put our stuff in front of them to make all this, like, like level of trust building very quick, and make this very quick, because again, we're just pushing so much stuff in front of them that they kind of like have to watch it. And if they watch it, like obviously they can see that we know what we're doing, right? And obviously if you know what you're doing, they'll see that too, right? So this is basically how the whole thing works. If you want me to build this out for you, happy to. Click the link in the description. I'll see you later.